Hey guys, Brett Leggett from Love the Grind here. And today I want to ask you something. Do you know anyone who complains about consistent muscle soreness or weakness, lack of energy, constant headaches, or just general fatigue? I'm sure you do, and that person might even be you, because it's been me before, and I've definitely seen it in a lot of people in my life. Whether they be older or younger, there's always seems to be someone who just doesn't have that energy or can't do things because they're always so sore or can't recover from working out, so they never work out at all. Now, there are many things that can contribute to a lack of energy and just general fatigue, but I've found that a lack of electrolytes, mainly sodium or salt, is an extremely common denominator in most of these situations. I've seen this many times, especially in gym goers and middle-aged people that work labor-intensive jobs but just do not understand the importance of salt, and thus over time have developed a salt deficiency, which makes them incredibly fatigued, tight and sore, with no chance of recovery from workouts or just the labor intensive job itself. And they believe that salt is bad. There's this whole myth and stigma about salt that you shouldn't have much of it because it can cause a lot of problems. But not giving yourself the adequate electrolytes, giving yourself the proper amounts of salt that your body needs, can just send you into a downward spiral of stress and fatigue. Salt restriction, according to a review of around 100 studies, does admittedly lower the blood pressure by a few points, but that generally doesn't relate to better health. In one study done with 3,000 people over 4 years, there was a clear increase in mortality in the individuals who ate less salt. An extra few grams of salt per day was associated with a 36% reduction in coronary events or heart attacks. Another study done with more than 11,000 people over 22 years also showed an inverse relation between salt intake and mortality, meaning the individuals that consumed more salt had less chances of death. In a low sodium situation, the resulting low blood volume or low blood pressure delivers less oxygen and nutrients to working muscles, and also allows for a greater accumulation of fatigue toxins that might not otherwise occur with a normal or high blood pressure. The ending result is extremely reduced muscle recovery and overall muscle weakness. In a normal metabolic situation, electrolyte balance is maintained by urinary output, or how much you pee out. The kidneys regulate the amount of sodium, potassium and calcium in the blood so that there can be balance. People that have a low salt intake produce a stress hormone called aldosterone, especially people that exercise regularly and have a low salt intake. Normally, people have low levels of aldosterone circulating in their blood because it's only a hormone that is released under metabolic or physiological stress. The main effect of aldosterone is to reabsorb sodium through the kidneys. This means that the sodium that would normally be excreted, be peed out in your urine, is actually retained in your body, making you hold the sodium and hold water. Normal healthy people can excrete up to 30 grams of sodium a day when aldosterone is not present in the blood. This is just an average person, by the way, not a hard training athlete or a regular gym goer. But when aldosterone is present, there's no sodium in the urine at all. It's all retained. Water will always follow sodium, so when sodium leaves the body, water will also leave. But because aldosterone reabsorbs sodium, keeping it from being excreted, water too is kept in the body, resulting in water retention. Another function of the stress hormone aldosterone is when it excretes potassium. When there is an absence of aldosterone in the blood, there is pretty much no potassium excreted in the urine. But when aldosterone levels are very, very high, there is up to 50 times more potassium lost in the urine than normal. The loss of potassium can be devastating and can cause heart attacks, paralysis, nausea, dehydration, among other things. So with this information in mind, let's just take a recap of the effects of low sodium intake. Firstly, through the release of aldosterone, sodium is reabsorbed through the liver, and because water follows sodium, there's water retention. You hold water. And then, because aldosterone also causes potassium excretion, the result you get is cramping and muscle weakness, drops in athletic performance, and increased risks of heart attack. So how much salt should you have? Getting an estimate on your sodium intake needs is relatively easy, and the rule of thumb is about 2 grams of sodium for each 1 litre of water that you consume. Since most people are underhydrated, I'll give you a general idea of what amount of water you should be drinking in a day. At 68 kilograms, someone who's training at a high level of intensity should drink at least 2 or 3 litres of water a day. At 90 kilos, you should be drinking at least 3 to 4 litres of water a day. And for people over 100 kilos who exercise very intensely, they should be getting at least 4 litres to 6 litres of water a day. So this means at 68 kilograms, you should be getting at least 4 to 6 grams of sodium a day, which is already over double the recommended daily intake. For people over 90 kilograms of body weight, you should be at least getting 6 to 8 grams of sodium. And for people over 100 kilos, you should be getting 8 to 12 grams of sodium per day. And that is ideal for best performance. So please guys, don't be afraid of salt. Try not to buy into all the stigma and all the myths regarding it. There is way more harm in having low levels than there is in having high levels of salt. And the average human being can pee out 30 grams of sodium a day, so it's unlikely to be harmed unless you're really trying to overdose in like having 30 grams of sodium in one sitting or something stupid like that. As always guys, please do your own experimentation, do your own research, come to your own conclusions, because knowledge is power. I'm Brett Leggett and I'm out. I'll see you guys next time. Progress in the gym was awesome because I was filled with what I was doing and with the energy it needed. It really messed with me. Like I didn't understand what was going on, you know.